I hope you're having a great week so far. It's Wednesday, so fingers crossed you have just a couple more days work before you can rest for the weekend. But here we are. Let's dive straight into the reason why we're here. The first episode of my Midweek Madness series, and is available now for you to watch live. Well, it's not live because I recorded this video a couple of nights ago, but you get me point. So what is the Midweek Madness? Well, for starters, it's proof I cannot think up decent titles for these videos. To put it basically, it's a laid-back video. We'll go through Lightroom together, reviewing roughly 3 images that I took when I wasn't recording the previous video that I put out, and I didn't put into that video to save you having to listen to me for too long. No one wants to have to hear that. So I'll go over why I took them, what I love and what I hate about them. And at the end, I'll select my opinion, the good, the bad and the ugly. And it'll be good to hear from you. It'll be good to hear from you whether you agree or disagree with that view. I mean, which category would you put each of these upcoming 3 images in? I should point out here that none of this is scripted, so point and look at camera. God knows what any of this will turn out like. So Lightroom and first image are loaded, ready to go. So this image was shot using my 100 to 400mm. It's a lens I'm still very much getting used to, and whilst it's not great for low light, I mean the widest aperture at 400mm is f8, so if the light is really bad and you're not on a tripod, well, you're not going to be at ISO 100, more ISO 1000 or 2000, which is of course going to add more noise and will require more recovery in that edit. But the benefits here are the fact that you can actually get great out of focus shots if you're close enough to your point of focus, like what you're seeing here with this particular image. Now, what I do love about this particular shot is the way the pathway just leads your eye back towards the bridge here in the background, and that's what caught my eye and made me stop and take this particular image, especially as I was able to get both kind of the bridge and much of the foliage kind of back here out of focus. In the edit itself, I have made the shot darker and more gritty than what it was, just to show you this was the original, and of course this is now the edited version. And what I've done is I've pulled kind of both the clarity and the saturation both to the left a little bit more. It gives it that softer, more washed out look in the colours, and it's kind of become a little bit of a trademark of mine, it seems, at times when I'm kind of editing images in Lightroom. I do like to try and kind of go for that softer look especially. And what don't I like about it? Well, I think the obvious thing here is I could have positioned myself a little bit higher when taking the shot. Of course, I've tried to focus on ensuring that it's the path that is solely in focus more than anything. But what you can see here, and I spoke about it on Sunday, was the fact there's very little separation between the bridge, the pier of the bridge in the river. But maybe I just wish there was a little bit more. Just wish there's a little bit more. So we now come to the next shot, which was an attempt to capture that beautiful frost which had formed on the leaves and the grasses. I kind of pointed it out in that video. What you'll notice here is I can't pull the clarity to the left in this instance, what I was just speaking about. If I do that, let's just pull that to the left now. You see it just becomes too soft, becomes too light. None of that detail is being picked up. What I loved about this shot, if anything, was the way that you kind of got that crispness and that sharpness to the frost and the detail in the leaves. So what I wanted to do here is, of course, just leave the clarity ever so slightly to the right on this occasion. As you can see here, the texture itself has been pulled far to the right. Maybe if I was to make one ever so slight change, I'd pull the clarity to the left a little bit more, maybe something like that. But what I'll do quickly is I'll reset the edit so you can see the original. It's a very flat image. I wasn't too impressed with it, but as you can see from the final edit, I very much cropped a lot closer to this main point of focus here. And it's again that crop was very much to also try and limit, like the background looks very, very busy, looks very messy, so your eye doesn't really stray from the main subject matter. What don't I like about it? Well, there doesn't seem to be any organisation to this image. Like I just mentioned, there's too many distractions with the busy undergrowth. Yeah, I think if there was maybe something going on in the background rather than it just being overgrown foliage, then maybe the river in the background, maybe the open field, it might work a little bit more, but there's too much going on for my particular liking. And so we come to the final shot that I wish to share with you today. It's a result of 2 shots to ensure I don't lose any detail. And let me show you what I meant by this, because I did very similar with Sunday's shot, The Mystery. So let's take that first image. We can darken the highlights and we can darken the dehaze. And of course that brings out the blue in the sky, but as you can see in the sky, and that's the main point here, there are these greens here on the horizon, which really ruin the shot. That's not what sky should look like. Even the blues, really. The blues are really exaggerated. Now, of course, we could dial back the saturation to exaggerate that less, but you've still got this green tint here on the horizon. I've loaded up the second image, and again, if we do the same here, again pushing the highlights far to the left, and again we get that detail in the sky. It's a little bit more cloudy. We don't quite get the blues, but again, already you're just seeing that green tint here on the horizon. Of course, again, if we push the dehaze, the sky looks better. It's still a problem. But when we combine them together, and I'll show the final result here for you to see now, you can see how there is so much more punch, how much beauty there is in the sky with the combination of both colour and cloud. Yet with this particular shot, I do love how these ditches just lead your eye through the image. You've got this mystery box over here on the right hand side, again another mystery aspect to the shot, and of course it all leads back to the castle in the background, and almost in terms of leading lines, it almost creates better leading lines than the shot that I took the other day. Now, what I don't like about this shot, I took this shot from multiple angles, probably about 4 or 5 times. Each one I focus bracketed, so again they're probably about 10 images in total, all along this stretch of the riverbank. But what I do dislike about the shot is I do dislike these boats that are over here on the left hand side of the shot. Regardless of where I stood, I just couldn't create any separation between them and the river, or the kind of the ditches in the foreground. I couldn't even hide them if I kind of went even lower, and it was just that little real frustration. Right, those are the 3 shots from this week. Now, what category do they belong in? Well, the bad has to be the first bridge shot. I don't dislike it, but I could have done so much better positioning myself. It's got good potential. Like, if I go back and shoot it again, maybe raise myself a little bit higher, even if I'm kind of there for golden hour, because of course we should get some light, some beautiful sunset light at the very least over the back of these hills in the background. So at worst, it was a good scouting shot, so to speak. So it's not the end of the world that is a bad image. There is potential for improvement. The ugly, well, that's the frost shot. You probably could tell in the way I was narrating just a minute ago. This one, to me, in all honesty, looks like a bit of a dog's dinner, really. Far too much going on, and of course, whilst there is sharpness in the front foliage, I just feel as though the background is just far too distracting. Not a bad idea to shoot and maybe see if something worked out, but it's not my best work. It really isn't. Which leaves the good. And of course, it's another variation of the castle. And I love, again, you could maybe tell in the commentary just a minute ago, but I love being able to create that painterly look in images. You've got the clear blue sky, well, not clear because there's cloud, so talk sense, Neil. So you've got the cloudy blue sky, frost here in the foreground, which kind of just adds to the colour and the contrast, even though I've softened the contrast. And like I said on Sunday, you've even got this mystery element with the box. I love that type of shot where you're kind of asking yourself questions. And again, I've got a good feeling this will be a good spot for that golden hour light again. At sunset, when the light's coming in from coming in this direction, it will hit the castle, and the castle will of course be illuminated with that beautiful evening light. And then in the mornings, where I've been down kind of to the riverside in the past, but again in yet another location, you should have a sunrise kind of just appearing just here, which of course should give you those beautiful colours of the blues, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the magentas. It's just stunning. It's beautiful. It really is. So there you have it. First midweek madness done and dusted. I'm off back out with the camera, looking to find more compositions to shoot and share with you. Well, yeah, maybe not tonight though. It's a bit cold and dark, and yeah, I'm not overly a fan of astrophotography. But I will see you at 10 a.m. UK time, of course, on Sunday morning, back out on location. Where I'll be though, you're going to have to watch and find out, aren't you? Yeah. See you then, and I hope you have a great end to your week. Ta-ta.